Okay, guys, let's tackle this number 8. This number 8 had a lot of points attached to it, and I tried to find every single half point I could to give you. Okay, so it costs the company $20 per box to make pocket-sized stuffed animals, so little tiny stuffed animals. It cost them $20 per box. The company also has a fixed manufacturing cost of $500. Fixed means one time, and it's got to be there. So $500, you can think of it as they have to pay $500 just to set up the machines, and then $20 to actually make it. The owners are trying to calculate their cost for making boxes of animals. So imagine you're the owner. You're the owner. You don't even have to make a box of stuffed animals. Just to set up the machines is $500. Now your cost, you're going to add to that $20 per how many boxes you order. So there's your costs. So the variables in this relationship are B, my number of boxes, my input. And so my number of boxes is going to go in my machine. Out comes the total cost. Well, if I make number of boxes is 0, well, if I make 0 boxes, I still had to set up the machine, and so I know I'm going to spend $500. If I make 1 box, I'm going to have the $500 setup fee and $20 for the first box, so that's $520. 2 boxes. Well, I know I've got to pay $20 per box, so I've got 2 boxes at I've got 2 boxes going in times 20, that's 40, plus my $500. So that's 20, and 500 is 540. If I have 10 boxes, my 10 goes in my machine and my little protective coating, times $20 a piece, so 10 times 20 is 200. So I'm going to pay $200 just for the boxes. Plus, you've got to pay them to set up that machine. So 200 plus 500 is 700. 50. So put 50 into your machine and your protective coating. Each box is 20, so 50 boxes at 20 a piece. 50 times 20 is 1,000. Then you've still got to pay that $500 setup fee, so that's 1,000. No, 1,500, I'm sorry. 1,000 for the boxes, and 500 to set up, so that's 1,500. 100 goes into your machine, protected by the parentheses. Each box is $20, so that's 100 times 20, which is 2,000, and you've still got to pay to set up the machines, so you've got 2,500. So what I'm going to do is just bring this process up each time. 0 goes in, 0 times 20 is 0. 0 plus 500 is 500. So it works for all of them. So the process was a point and the total cost was a point. Take a second to pause here and realize where you missed a half a point, where you missed a whole point. Okay, use the table to write an algebraic rule that describes the relationship between the number of boxes B and the total cost C. Well, I know that my rule is really an equation, and my equation always starts with output equals. So I know it's going to be C equals. Well, to get that C, we had to take our input, whatever it is, we put it in protective coating, we times it by 20, and then we added 500. Well, to represent any number that could go in, we're going to use B. Let's rewrite B times 20 the proper way. So you get 20B plus 500, bring it down, bring down your C, and you're done. Your cost in dollars is always $20 times the number of boxes that you bought plus the $500 setup fee. All right, create a graph. I'm going to skip this for just a second and do these, and then I'll go back to the graph. So let's go to this one. How much does it cost to manufacture 200 boxes? Let's use our rule to help us. How much does it cost? So I'm looking for the cost. So your cost is your question mark. To manufacture 200 boxes, well, B is your number of boxes, so replace your B with 200 because we're making 200 boxes, and bring down everything else. Now just do it in your calculator. Your cost is equal to 20 times 200, which is 4,000, plus the $500 setup fee, so you've got $4,500. You want to make sure you stop and you add your dollar sign and make sure you stay in the problem. This isn't 4,500 boxes, this is $4,500. Does it make sense that 200 boxes would cost me about $4,500? Yeah, absolutely. It's $500 just to set it up, and $20 a box, so it's going to be pretty high. All right, let's try 7F. How many boxes of stuffed animals can the company manufacture for $5,000? Well, let's use our rule again. This time it says how many boxes. So B is what I'm looking for. Bring everything else down. And now the cost, it says how many boxes of stuffed animals can the company manufacture for $5,000? So their cost can be up to $5,000. Well, guess and check what number can go in here that can multiply by 20 and then add 500 to get exactly 5,000. And you should get 225 boxes. So notice how I wrote boxes there. I stayed in the problem, and I know that what I'm finding is actually the number of boxes, not dollars or anything like that. I stayed in the problem, and I knew I was getting boxes. So 225 boxes. Does it make sense that I could get 225 boxes for $5,000? Well, if you come back up here, I got 100 boxes for $2,500. So, seems right. 225 should be about double that. So, yeah, makes sense. All right, last one. We've got to create that graph. So, on the graph, I need to zoom out a little bit. On this graph, we've got a graph according to the directions. Attend to precision. So you have to read the directions, blah, 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 blah. Ask yourself if you should leave the dots separate or if you should connect them with a continuous line. Ask yourself if you really need all 4 quadrants and use a scale of 100 for the y and 10s for the x-axis. Well, I know my input needs to go down here on the bottom. So if you look at your input variable is number of boxes. Let's say this is our 0 and our 0. It says number of boxes should use a scale of 10. So you have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 120, 130, 140, and so on. Now the y, if number of boxes goes in my machine, total cost, C, comes out. And this one says scale of 100 for my y-axis. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, and so on. Now, all we have to do is graph it. Well, if you look back, it said that if I buy 0 boxes, so I'm at 0 boxes, that should match up with $500. So that matches up right there. That should be your first dot. Then 1 box, which is way over here and really, really close, should be 520, so barely above it. Then 2 boxes, which is just to the right, is 540. Then we skip to 10 boxes, is 700. So all I'm doing is I have this over here and I'm just plotting, this is my x and this is my y. So when my number of boxes is 50, I should meet up with 1,500. So when my boxes is 50, I should meet up with 1,500 and meet up. I should not connect these dots because this is discrete data. You cannot order a half a box. If you can't order a half of something, you should not connect them. All right, take a second, pause here, and figure out where you missed on points, what your axes look like, did you miss a label, and then keep going. You're almost done, guys.